James having another stir fry. I brought some mandarin oranges out to see if he wants that on top. I'm going to talk about Arthur the King and these other movies. And first I'm going to read a poem. See how that goes. So, I think I have the camera. Maybe you could tweak the camera, James, while you're there. Just turn it a little bit this way.
Which way?
Well, so that you're more in the camera.
Okay.
That'll look better. So this poem is called My Future Garden, and I just wrote this while the stir-fried vegetables were cooking out in the electric wok outside in my outdoor kitchen, my summer kitchen. And so yeah, it's August 3rd, 2024. This week we're due to get a bit of rain, but will it be enough to dampen dust, and will the temperatures just climb again? I've prayed for rain to come, and so it must. Without the rain, so many plants will die. So many birch and other trees are dead, although so many water when it's dry. So many others just gave up instead. I bet they looked ahead at droughts to come and saw a battle that they couldn't win. I water, though it makes me feel so dumb. I see a droughty future moving in to stay, and yet I just can't help but care for plants that seem like they're a part of me. We've grown together in this home we share, and that's how we will go eventually. So, anyway, Arthur the King, based on The Incredibles' true story. So this has Mark Wahlberg in it, as he plays Michael Light. I guess that's the guy's name.
It's not Arthur. Okay.
No, Arthur.
Because Arthur is the dog? Yeah. Okay, there we go. Arthur means bear, I think, in some sort of Celtic language.
Well, the dog just showed up. They were doing this, this movie is basically like The Amazing Race television show that everybody loves, and Benji, which I think everyone loved.
Never
right?
seen it, but...
or maybe The Littlest Hobo.
Well, I kind of like The Littlest Hobo.
So, anyway, this man, Michael Light, he's in a group with 3 other people, and they're doing this professional endurance race in Santo Domingo. It's Adventure Racing World Championship. So,
Santo Domingo?
Yes, probably. It's hard. Yeah, Domingo. Yeah. So my vision isn't very good, and the writing is very small.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure what it was.
No. So anyway, I didn't even know they did these things. I guess I should have known that athletes get sponsors to do, so that they get paid to keep doing their athletic stuff. I didn't know that. But anyway, this guy, Michael Light, that's what he does. So he gets some people to sponsor him so he can go do this race and stuff. So, yeah. So, and I don't know, it seems he's pretty hardcore, and it seems like that's what he wants to do anyway. So even if he didn't get the sponsors, I get the impression from this movie he'd be out there. So anyway, so he ends up meeting up with this dog. Somehow this dog finds them while they're doing this race, and the dog decides, I'm going to keep doing the race with you, you know. And dog's in rough shape to begin with, really, but he's a trooper, and he just keeps plugging away and getting the thing done.
They feed him some meat, and he's...
They did, yes. Yeah, that's the thing. Is Michael Light gave him some, some of those packages of the, like, astronaut food sort of thing they have. Well, he had some meatballs in one of those
and the
packages.
Dog actually went for him?
Yeah. And I guess he was really impressed. Like, the dog didn't beg or anything. Wow. He just patiently waited, and it actually took a little bit of convincing for the guy to convince the dog to actually go for one of the meatballs. Right?
Well, this astronaut food, it's kind of like Kraft cheese, barely food, I suspect.
No, but this dog was in rough shape, right?
Yeah.
So Anyway, this movie was done perfectly. Perfectly. It deserves top of the stack, even if it didn't have these other things underneath or whatever. If it had, I don't know, a lot of great movies or whatever in the stack, it's probably still get top of the stack. It's just such a, it's really well done. I mean, you have, I'll compare it to this one, Void, Touching the Void, which this didn't quite make the bottom. It's a great story. I mean, this is what these guys went through in Touching the Void. This is based on a true story, and it's amazing. It's an amazing story, and it's, I mean, this is a race. It's a lot of fun, whatever. What these guys were doing, not fun, you know, but they're driven to do this sort of stuff. And this, really, when you watch things like this, or The Amazing Race, you should watch things like this and go, wow, yeah, I don't want that to happen to me, right? This is a story about how things went so horribly wrong, and then somehow the guy manages to live through it. And well, everyone does in the story, but the one guy, you're like, he's a goner, and right away, like, the way that this one is, the story is told, the actual men are telling stories, and then they have reenactment with actors on the, you know, showing what happened, right? And
this was mountain climbing, you said?
Yeah, and this one was in South America too. This one was in Peru.
They've got some rough mountains there.
You know what? It doesn't say on the back. Why didn't you put it on the back? It was somewhere in Peru, and I can't remember. It was some mountain, which, whatever. Oh, there we go. Ciula Grande mountain. So, anyway, somewhere in Peru. So, anyway, so they're flashing, you know, the guys are telling the story, you know, they're interviewed, and just sitting there getting interviewed, telling the story, and then they're showing some of the reenactment. So the whole time you're watching this, you know they make it out, right? There's these guys, they're being interviewed, and you're watching the story, and you're like, how did this guy make it out, right? The one guy, it's he doesn't get, he's trying to get anchored in right with his like they say it right near the beginning, they talk about how 80% of injuries occur on the descent, and you wouldn't think about that, right? You'd think when you're wandering along and just doing your day hikes or whatever, day scrambles, and you might think, oh, well, I got up here, surely I can get down, right? But you have to, if you've done that a little bit, you realize, no, I have to plan ahead for coming down, because it's, right? But the first few times you do it, you might actually think, oh, well, if I can get up there, I can get down, no problem, right? No, you don't want to be having to pack yourself down with a broken leg. So the guy has a broken leg, and it is a horrible break. I can't even imagine how a break like this could happen. So the bottom of his leg goes up through, the bone goes up through into the next bone. He landed so hard that the force drove the one bone into the other one. So, and then he's having to try to get down like that, because first, you know, when he, and this is funny, you know, when he was telling his mate that he was climbing with, right? His mate asked him, well, are you okay? And he says, I thought about saying, yeah, I'm okay. And then he, you know, which he wasn't at all, right? And he said, I broke my leg. And they just looked at each other, and the look that his friend gave him was like, he just knew, well, we're both gonna die up here, or you're a goner, right? Like, either it would be best if you just slid off the edge of the, like, he's telling the truth. His friend is saying, you know, he's thinking if he'd slid off the edge, it would have been better, because now he's having to try to get him down the mountain, and this weather is horrible. This this is terrible, terrible stuff that they're dealing with, and so he works hard to try to get him down. He's trying to lower him, and he's having to like knot the ropes together, and eventually, like, he has to wait until the guy is anchored somewhere so that he can kind of let up on the rope a bit, or he can kind of hold himself up on the cliff somewhere, right? And then he can his mate can undo the knot and put it under, or whatever the rope, put the knot under, because it can't pass through the metal thing that he has it sliding through, right? So he's anyway, a lot of work, and eventually the guy has fallen and he's just hanging, and he's like, I can't, there's nothing I can do. Like, he tries and to figure some stuff out, and it's not working. His fingers are frozen, he can't feel them, and he's trying to use his mouth and stuff to tie ropes, and it's an incredible story. So really, this story is more incredible. This is just a race. These guys, people do this all the time, whatever. This is an incredible story. But the way this is told, well, the guy's gonna live. He's sitting there talking to you. And with this one, you don't know if the dog's gonna live. And I honestly cried, I'll have to say. When I watched this, I cried when near the end. I'm not going to say. So, although this is touching the void, everyone should watch this. Especially if they're deciding, oh, I'm going to be hardcore, I'm going to be extreme and do this sort of thing. No. This is extreme. This is not as extreme. These races, people, whatever. Yeah, I know you're really working out really hard, and so that you can do stuff like that. No. This is extreme. These guys, this, it's pretty impressive. But anyway, it's a different story. So, how did Slings and Arrows? I've been talking about Slings and Arrows. I'm like, it says one of TV's greatest shows. It only got 3 seasons, and I wasn't caring for it that much. And then at first I didn't like it at all. I didn't know how I'd manage to get through one disc of it, let alone, like, it was tough just getting through the first couple episodes. But the 3rd season, the last season, they went out with a bang, and that's the one that they got Sarah Pauline in. And she did a great job. Everyone did a great job in that season. That honestly, it's incredible. So not everything about it is great, but it tells a great story. You have you know what? It's worth watching. I don't even want to tell you the story. You're going to figure it out as you go. And basically, there's a musical being done that's about drug addiction, and it's sort of based on the guy who wrote it, kind of based it on his a story about his aunt who had been a drug addicted prostitute or whatever. But it doesn't feel very real, the way, how musicals a lot of the time they don't feel very real. And then you have, in contrast, you have this other play that is being done, and it's King Lear, I think. Is that right, James?
King Lear is a Shakespeare play.
Yeah. So, and the man who is doing King Lear, who is playing King Lear, he is awesome at it, and he knows that he's dying. So he doesn't, since he knows that he's dying, he's taking heroin for the pain and stuff like that, and whatever. And so just the way that they've told the story is actually really impressive. So I don't know if the first 2 seasons were really worth watching, unless you want to see a cute young Rachel McAdams. in the first one, or whatever. But anyway, I guess may as well. There's only 3 seasons here, and you get to know the characters along the way, and then the 3rd season is worth watching. So if you watch the first couple, just remember the 3rd season's worth watching. So it's worth sitting around through the first 4. So Club Zero. This one was I don't know. You know, it says the first one. There's reviews on the cover. Supremely audacious, gripping, and provocative, harrowingly funny by Variety. And I'm like, funny. There's nothing funny about this movie. So did this person from Variety even look at this movie or
maybe they meant
read anything about it or what?
Funnily harrowing.
I don't know. But there's a whole lot of, there's a lot of little blurb things. What do you call those review things on the
blurbs?
I guess so.
Blurbs, I think.
Okay.
They're usually awful, and they had to put a lot on the cover. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
One says darkly perverse. That seems more accurate. So anyway, Club Zero. So one thing, I don't think Mia Wasikowska was a good fit for the teacher, because she doesn't look. You could have found somebody who looks really like slender. Like, who am I thinking? That ballerina that was in Black Swan.
It's not
She's
Keira
so
Knightley, but
so
someone
thin.
like that. Is it Keira Knightley?
So I can't remember what. No, I don't think that's right. So anyway, but somebody really thin. It was some waif-like. Anyway, so this one does not look like that. She looks fairly healthy.
She looks almost young as the kid.
Well, yeah, and they did need to have somebody that was young.
Oh, okay.
I think for this. But honestly, I don't really know what story they were trying to tell from this. I don't know if you're supposed to look at the end and think that they all went like it's. I'll tell you what the story is about. So there's a woman who comes into an elite sort of school, a boarding school, to teach a class on conscious eating. So it says that on the back. But she's teaching about eating consciously. So taking a breath between each bite, and then really taking a little bite and really chewing it, and really, and then so it's mindful eating. So we've heard a lot about
munching, right?
Yes. So we've heard a lot about mindfulness and plant-based diet. So she's for a plant-based diet too. So she's trying to convince people you need to eat way less than. It's not healthy the way people are eating so much, and like she would say, just this little corner of the plate. She'd start people off with, just this little tiny amount, and then
That seems like it's pushing it.
Yeah.
It should be.
So it does seem like she's pushing it even at the beginning, and then she, she doesn't really talk about nutrition and stuff. It's she has a tea that she sells online that's a fasting tea. So she, she's into fasting, and she thinks it's healthy not to eat. So eventually you realize she doesn't want people, she believes that people don't need to eat. So Club Zero, you don't eat anything. It's just it's a myth that you need to eat.
Yeah.
That's what she's saying in this. And
I could argue that zero in that is your life expectancy.
yeah. And eventually that's really she's convinced these kids of this, and they were getting thin and thin and thin and thin. And I mean, they were pretty thin to begin with, but they're not looking good, and their parents are getting really concerned. And anyway, So I just, the main problem with this was the actress that they got to play the teacher. She was not good at that at all, not suited for it. She should have been somebody that was like a beautiful ballerina, you know, who was really thin, and then that would have been more believable. But at the end, I mean, I don't know really what they were trying to say with this movie, that people who believe in mindful eating and plant-based diets are trying to kill your children. I'm not sure, right? Like, maybe that's the message here, or maybe it's a sort of spiritual thing that they actually believe. Well, if you don't eat, then you're going to go to this paradise, you know, and together, and everybody else is doomed. I'm not sure what the message is here, but honestly, I was thinking it was the first one, that, you know, don't listen to the people talking about mindfulness and plant-based diets, which that's not a good idea either. So it's good to be mindful. It's good to have to eat as many plants as possible. But I mean, the diet that this woman was trying to convince the kids of, well, that's insane.
It's
but
shameful that she was imposing it on kids who can't make their mind up responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely shameful. Is it a documentary? Or
No. It's just a movie. I don't believe anybody would get away with that in any school.
So I think it's kind of like an irresponsible movie. I think it is.
I think it is. Yeah.
Intended
That's why I
to
got
make,
the bottom of the stack. It
make
creeped me
people
out.
who are into vegetarianism, veganism.
Seem like nutcases. Yeah, that's my take on the movie. And I managed to
There's lots of
live many years. Many people do on a plant-based diet. So, and if, like, now, my belly is finally going down. I'm getting enough exercise
It's
to
just
get this.
she was sick last year
Yeah.
and had trouble preparing food, so she was eating food.
And so then I
you
got
know,
on
like
that habit,
Well, it was
and I'm still
when you
working
can't
on
make
that.
food and eat stuff out of packages.
Yeah.
It wasn't her fault. Stuff out of packages, even if it's vegetable based, is not good for you generally, and stuff like that.
So I'm still struggling with that, because I want to eat the things that, like James's stir fry. It has a sauce that I bought for 44 cents. Cheap and easy sauce.
Yeah.
Well, and we've been looking at things and going, well, you know, at least we're getting the vegetables down or whatever. So we kind of balance things off that way and go, well, we can maybe afford a tasty sauce if we're getting these vegetables down.
Well,
So, but
my practice used to be with veggies is no sauces at all.
yeah.
But you actually, despite what was this character was saying in the movie, you need veggies, broccoli, you need it. There's cabbage in here, you need it. I've got cancer, and both these things apparently are cancer fighters. Right? They probably won't take care of it all by themselves. Well, they wouldn't. Of a full-blown cancer, but it can help out conventional treatment for cancer.
Yeah, and I think the thing is with cancer is, or honestly, any illness, and I have heard other people say this too, is the best way to fight these things is to do it before it happens. You know,
Don't
just
catch the
don't wait until you're sick. Don't keep, I'm gonna eat all this junk food every day, and then when you get sick, all of a sudden switch to something and think it's going to be some miracle cure or something. No,
Classic
it's,
example. Oh, sorry.
it's a lifestyle thing. You know,
It
you just keep taking care of yourself and keep taking care of your body, and your body will keep taking care of you.
Classic example is people with a sedentary lifestyle who working all the time, don't have enough time to shop sensibly for food and then prepare it sensibly. Salads don't take as much time as meat. Making chicken or turkey takes a long time, doesn't it?
Well, no, I mean a lot of the the meat industry is heavily subsidized. There's certain foods that are production is subsidized by the government, and so a lot of the time the consumers don't see the actual cost of what these things. So chicken, I mean, it may be expensive to buy chicken, but it's not nearly as expensive as it should be, right? Or corn, or soybeans. I don't want to pick on just the meat industry, so I gave you just a few that are heavily subsidized, right? But there's things like I get frustrated. You need to clean the vegetables really well and stuff, and it takes time. And you're like, oh, and all this water you're using. I mean, you want clean water to clean your vegetables with, and in the city, but that's what you get anyway. You get treated water out of your taps, and so, and you're having to use that treated water to water your garden, which you wouldn't need. Water doesn't need to be treated to water the garden, and so you're paying for that anyway. But if you, like, say these plants here, what I do is I take my colander out and I take water and I water my plants while I'm washing my produce. So because these plants don't care at all if the water has been used to wash produce.
They probably like it, eh?
Yeah. So they're fine with that. So then it helps me feel like, oh, well, I'm not just pouring this water down the drain while I'm washing my vegetables. So there's things like that you can do.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But this movie really was
irresponsible.
Yeah. I really didn't like it. Really didn't like it.
So as I was saying, there are people, working, leading a sedentary lifestyle. They don't buy the proper food, prepare the proper food, plan. It takes planning.
Yeah.
And then they don't get enough exercise.
Mm-hmm.
They wait on, they get diabetes.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's
what they're saying is, oh, when I retire, I'll take care of myself. And then all of a sudden they've got diabetes, and boy, is it hard to beat diabetes. I don't know if it's possible. So.
Yeah, or they think, well, a lot of people have this. It's natural. It's natural to have this. There's a lot of, and I can just take pills. But you don't want that either. I mean,
it's awful.
It's a terrible